We now recognize Mr. Leavitt for 5 minutes.
Chairman Jordan, Ranking Member Plaskett, and members of the subcommittee, thank you for the invitation to testify today. When Marcus sat here 16 months ago, the FBI smeared him with the lie that he was a threat to our national security. That lie was repeated here in this hearing room. But 1 year later, the FBI reinstated his security clearance and agreed to restore 27 months of back pay. This amounts to an official admission by the FBI that claims about his disloyalty to the U.S. were false. His clearance should never have been revoked in the first place. And this year, whistleblower after whistleblower from inside the FBI security clearance office has pulled back the curtain on the dysfunction and political bias in the security division. Last week, I sent a 22-page letter to the committee outlining these problems. As that letter details, each and every one of the line-level employees who worked on the review believed Marcus should retain his security clearance. The initial investigator believed it, a second investigator believed it, the first adjudicator believed it, and a second adjudicator believed it. So how did his clearance still get suspended and revoked, contrary to both whistleblower retaliation and clearance adjudication law? High-level officials, at least one of whom is still in the security division, overruled these line-level staff and intimidated employees into doing what they wanted. Division employees lived in fear of a stranger bringing the so-called Kelly cart to their desk to package up their belongings while they were escorted out of the building and fired. And sure enough, of the 4 line-level employees who worked on Marcus's case, 2 of them also suffered reprisal from the FBI for trying to treat him fairly. In fact, the entire leadership of the division's clearance adjudication unit was removed in September 2023, apparently in reprisal for standing up to improper direction from leadership. Empower Oversight is now representing 3 current or former security division employees retaliated against by their managers. This summer, we disclosed to the public that the security division forced FBI employees to rat out their coworkers if they'd ever heard them, quote, vocalize support for President Trump or, quote, vocalize objection to the COVID-19 vaccination. We now understand that was just one manifestation of the FBI's politicized climate. Former security division leaders like Jeffrey Veltri, who's now running the investigation into the second assassination attempt on former President Trump, has a documented history of encouraging security clearance decisions based on political views and personal medical decisions. He and fellow manager Dina Perkins would often ask in staff meetings whether employees whose clearances were under investigation had received the vaccine. Veltri also suggested Marcus was delusional for being motivated by his sincere-held religious beliefs. The tone for this intolerance seems to have been set at the top. In a February 2021 call with FBI managers, Deputy Director Paula Bate made what one observer called a chilling and personal direct threat that there would be consequences for anyone who questioned his direction. Given these statements, how is the American public supposed to have any confidence that decisions are being made at the FBI without personal bias or politicization? Over the past 2 months, since a former president was nearly assassinated and 1 man was killed, the entire country has seen how critical Secret Service whistleblowers have been to providing even the smallest measure of transparency. Yet those whistleblowers, like all other federal law enforcement whistleblowers, have stronger protections than the whistleblowers at the FBI. As some of you know, fixing this was one of my top goals as a congressional staffer a decade ago. But the House Intelligence Committee has repeatedly blocked reforms in this area. Incredibly, the other prohibited personnel practice laws that apply to the rest of DOJ don't apply to the FBI either. The FBI's internal handbook is the only prohibition on political coercion, nepotism, rigged hiring, and various other merit-based policies. How can you not end up with poor management and managers at an agency like that? OSC, my former agency, investigates the practices in these other agencies with recourse to the MSPB, another former agency of mine. For the FBI, Mr. Horowitz's office is tasked with these investigations. But his office doesn't have the legal authorities OSC does to seek a stay of a personnel action from the MSPB while it investigates. And unlike MSPB, Mr. Horowitz's office can't force the FBI to take any particular corrective or disciplinary action, even if it finds wrongdoing. Congress should fix this 1970s relic of an exception for the FBI and empower OSC to investigate FBI personnel actions with appeals to MSPB and the courts. As a broad bipartisan coalition of groups has argued, including in a letter that we submitted yesterday to the committee, it's also time for Congress to overturn or narrow the 1988 Supreme Court case Navy versus Egan. Because of it, neither OSC nor MSPB review whether a security clearance action was taken as a form of whistleblower reprisal. That should change, especially because it's become the FBI's primary form of whistleblower retaliation. Allowing the FBI to operate by its own playbook for so long has also had other consequences. Just 3 weeks ago, MSPB issued an order to show cause why it shouldn't impose sanctions against the FBI in one case. The bipartisan 3-person board wrote it's difficult to escape the idea that they have no intention of complying with the board's orders. Through the reforms I've outlined, Congress can restore the proper functioning of the civil service of the FBI. Both parties should support these changes. They would strengthen good government in the FBI no matter who sits in the White House or director's office. And while there's no way to erase the suffering endured by Marcus and his family or Garrett O'Boyle and his family and others, the FBI can hold accountable those who perpetrated it, and Congress can turn it into something meaningful by using it as the impetus to finally change these laws. Thank you.